Well, my initial impression of the objective when I first read the script was I never shot, this is from a cinematography standpoint, but I never had shot a war film before. So for me, it was it would be a big challenge, you know, to be shooting, you know, fight scenes, explosions, and so forth. But that's from a work standpoint. But for me, it was the story that drew me in, and getting to work with Dan Myrick.
So we're framing up.
We knew what we wanted out of the scene. We could understand each other, and from there, we decided to go about the film in such a way that we would go in the morning, we would watch the blocking, see what the actors instinctually did, and then figure out, you know, how to cover the scene. Most of the film was covered handheld, probably, I'd say, 80–85% handheld, because we're with the soldiers most of the time. And then the rest was shot on dolly as the desert POV, and some Steadicam in the beginning of the film. The camera becomes a little bit more hectic as the film continues. Also, as you know, the soldiers start dying off and it becomes more mysterious. We start going away on longer lenses and punching in, and you have this feeling of something watching, but you don't quite know what it is. One of my biggest worries before arriving in Morocco was the fact that I would be working with completely local hires. I wasn't able, because of budget restraints, to take any of the crew that I normally work with. And that for a DP is a scary situation, because really, you know, you have your ways of doing things, but in the end, you are your crew. You know, you have your ways of doing things, but usually your crew knows how to read you and how to facilitate things. Camera department, my grip and electrical department, and the production AD department. And what was so interesting is people asked me about anecdotes of this production, and sometimes we were communicating in 6 different languages simultaneously. And luckily, I speak French, so I was able to communicate with most of my crew who was either Arabic speaking or French speaking. But many times I'd find myself, you know, in one sentence speaking in Italian and French and Spanish and English, and yet everybody could understand me and I could understand everybody. And that's what became very interesting. You know, originally this was a film about, you know, 2 cultures clashing, American culture and the Islam culture, and it became, and the whole making of process became this huge collaboration between, you know, a myriad of cultures. And so what I thought was my biggest challenge became one of the best experiences I've had. I don't know, there was a different energy. We did things in Morocco that would never happen here in LA. Sometimes we'd have, you know, a 1.5-mile hike into a mountain with all our camera cases, not one complaint from anybody. You know, everybody would carry a case and we would shoot it. You know, it was really incredible. The times that I would point up into a cliff and tell my key grip Rashid, I'd like the dolly up there. And the only way to get up to that cliff was hauling and like walking up the cliff. And he'd say, "Pas de problème, Stephanie," you know, "No problem, Stephanie." And that for me, the work ethic and the love for one's profession, I had never seen that before.